Hey everyone, welcome to the First Youth Podcast. Today I sit down with Walt Zamroz. He was a coach all the way from middle school up to the collegiate level. He's a great father, and now he's involved in Crossroads Pregnancy Center. You're sure to be encouraged as a father, as a mother, as a teenager, and as somebody who's active in this community as a believer. Check it out. So Walt, you came into this, okay, you're Crossroads director now.
Correct.
And this is your second career.
Yes.
We were just talking about this.
Yes.
Yeah, you were doing something before this. What were you doing before this?
Well, I taught health and PE.
Yeah.
The current label these days is wellness. I did that for 35 years.
Right.
And I coached basketball for 37 years.
And you did it in a couple of different schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
My wellness was pretty much all done for the Pembridge School District.
Okay.
But my coaching career took several twists and turns, and everything from middle school to small college environment, which was my latest assignment was at Cairn University.
Was that your favorite, or was there a favorite in all that big spectrum of coaching sports?
Well, a third of it probably was all about me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to climb the coaching ladder, stuff like that. And then we decided that it was supposed to be about our family. And then the neat thing that happened after that, Kyle, we decided that, okay, if this is going to be the passion of our family, because our boys were very passionate, we're going to do ministry. And we got into sports ministry. And that was probably my most favorite. When we transitioned into the family, like coaching Ryan, Brett, and JD, and saying, okay, as a family, we're going to commit this passion, this energy, and this time to the Lord. Where do you want us to serve, Father? And that's when Ryan actually and Brett and JD, we transferred them from Pembridge High School to Faith Christian Academy. Yeah. And that's where they finished their schooling and their and playing and so on and so forth. And then the nest got kind of empty, and I thought, well, I always wanted to be a college coach. Yeah. That was like the goal in the beginning. It was all about me. Yeah.
Jayhawks or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. That's kind of what I wanted to do with my life. And then I realized how that just is so not good for your family. The commitment there and the pressure and so on and so forth. But anyhow, but I always wanted to be a college basketball coach, and the Lord just led us to Cairn University after everybody was all grown up and done. But I was pretty passionate about that.
Well, I don't think right there you said you're committing to a family of this family vision of doing this ministry together. A lot of people don't have a lot of that. It's just Saturdays are for sports, and then we get it done, we go home and have lunch. But you guys made it like a whole thing.
Yeah, and we did, and it was kind of neat because we then got involved in various sports ministries. Like we got involved with Push the Rock. Yeah. We got involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We got involved with a little bit of sports ministry that FBC was doing. I think it's kind of, as parents, you kind of look at, okay, how are your kids wired? How are they gifted? Where are their passions? And I always think you can find a place to use that to honor and glorify God.
Sure.
I mean, they're gifted that way. They're passionate that way for a reason. Yeah. And I think that comes from how God has created us. Right. Whether it's music, obviously, you can teach your kids to use that to honor and glorify God. If it's sports, same thing. If it's art, as always, I think that's why the Lord creates us the way that He does. Obviously. To honor and glorify Him.
When you bring passion into it too, like you're being excited about it.
Yeah,
it's not just accepting. Well, I'm that way.
Yeah, and then as a father and as parent, you got to kind of watch it. Is it my passion being transferred onto my children, or is it really this is something that they're interested in doing? Yeah. And it was later on that we realized that although that was really good for our family, and our boys really, really enjoyed all of that, there were other gifts in their lives that we may not have uncovered. Like JD is pretty artistic. Well, if you spend all your time in the gym, you don't really figure that out about your child. Right. And Brett was gifted differently. Yeah. And Ryan was probably the most pure of the athletes. But sometimes you got to be careful with all of that because it can kind of smother other gifted areas of their life. If it's about dad and it's about my agenda, which I really tried to pull back.
So you had a little bit of a conversion moment between going towards this is my vision towards the kid. Did something have to like die in you, or did it just like a conversation with your wife, or was there like a game one of the guys was playing?
It was like a little bit of both. Okay. You get to be about mid-30s and late 30s, and you start searching and looking back and saying, what am I really accomplishing here for the good of the glory of God as you grow in your faith. I read 2 books.
Okay.
One was called Halftime by Bill Buford,
Okay.
and it's an older read, and it's called, the subtitle is Changing from Success to Significance. That was a really interesting read. And then the more popular one, obviously, is John Piper's Don't Waste Your Life.
Yeah.
Don't wait. And that was more, the first one was more critical in us going from just doing athletics to making it a family ministry.
Sure.
And the second one, Don't Waste Your Life, was probably how it helped me realize that in my retirement I should be doing something significant for the Lord. And then there was issues of this is just invading our lives. Like I'll just be honest, there came a point with Ryan, especially when he was about 9th grade, and it became apparent that he was gifted in this area of athletics and basketball. And all of a sudden, everybody's tugging at us.
Okay.
Ryan, we want you to play here. We want you to play there. Let's go to this tournament. Let's go to that.
Yeah.
And it just invades your life. And at first, as a parent, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is my son they're talking about.
Everybody wants my son.
Exactly.
It feels great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we're up and down the East Coast, and we're not getting to church.
Okay.
He's not getting the youth group.
Okay.
And I looked at that, and maybe it was the Lord kind of smacked me upside the head and said, okay, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
And that's when I sat Ryan down and I said, okay, Ryan, we got to play less basketball.
Yeah.
You're doing great academically, you're doing great athletically, but where are we spiritually?
What had to sound like crazy to him, because it's like, this is I'm me. I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I said, Ryan, either we're going to play less basketball, or we got to figure out how we can get more spiritual enrichment into your life, let's say Monday through Friday. Well, he says to me, Dad, I don't want to play any less basketball.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? I said, well, would you consider going to a Christian school?
Yeah.
Would you consider going? And we looked at Christopher Dock, we looked at Plumstead, we looked at Faith Christian Academy, and the Lord just opened some doors up for him to go to Faith Christian Academy. Now he's being fed by good biblical teachers Monday through Friday, and he's getting the youth group on Wednesday. And if we miss church every once in a while, I'm not recommending this for people, please. You need to edit this part.
Yeah. We'll put a link about how to get your kid to church later. Yeah.
But that was the moment you're talking
Sure.
about. And then Brett followed.
Yeah.
They were 9th grade going into 10th grade.
Okay.
At Pembridge High School.
Okay.
And JD's switchover was earlier. He was 7th grade. No, he was 8th grade going into 9th grade.
Okay.
And I transferred him to Calvary Baptist.
Okay.
In Lansdale, because I was coaching there and I needed a point guard.
There you go. He's in your house. You knew it.
And I knew I could get one. Now, and then he eventually finished his education at Faith Christian Academy.
Okay.
But that's important that we're evaluating that as parents.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where is this an idol in your life?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of, it's disguised by all this good things that
Sure.
it is bringing into
Success.
your life. Yes.
They found their success early too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Man.
So that as well as kind of pivotal.
Yeah, and knowing your boys a little bit, they've all got a little bit of a larger perspective too. Going to different schools and traveling and stuff. They're not narrow-minded. They've seen a lot of it. So you coach that. You coach them on the field, on the court well, but then in life too.
Yeah.
And using basketball for those things. You didn't get caught up just in basketball, which is tough to do for parents.
Yeah, and I think if it's and again, this is just by the grace of God.
Yeah.
I think if it's done correctly or done right, it should be teaching athletics. That's why it's part of education, it's part of college, it's part of, it should be teaching some values and some skills outside of the skills that are necessary to play the sport. And then those should transfer into life lessons.
If you're doing it right,
if you're doing it right, and it doesn't become egotistical and just there's all kinds of things that can that can go wrong. And then what it also did, Kyle, and to that perspective, is it opened up avenues of opportunity. Like all of a sudden we get involved with Push the Rock, and Brett and I are traveling to Russia and Romania to do sports ministry.
Yeah.
And Ryan's going to Italy to do sports ministry.
Yeah.
And and then we're going into the inner city, and we're going here, there, and it's just exposing us to a whole different lifestyle that you have in your typical Upper Bucks County Percy.
And they're probably still talking about that.
Oh, those were rich experiences in their life. And I think it has really helped make them the people that they are today.
For sure.
Those experiences. And then you just keep praying over it. And what it also did is hopefully bring the right people into their sphere of influence, because that can really go south quickly.
For sure.
If you get some, like,
even the wrong teammates in life.
That's what I mean. Teammates, coaches, some parents that are involved in these things. And there were some godly people that were involved in Ryan and Brett's and JD's life outside of our family that entered their life through the avenue of athletics. Men that I am so thankful for.
Now, you said that we've talked before about this kind of thing, and it was Chris Heller who used to asking us about, what would you say to a dad? He's got kids that are teens that are as young as 6th grade all the way through freshman in college. And he said, what would you tell me? And you had a couple of good pointers for him along that vein you're already saying here.
Yeah, some of that I think we've kind of covered, but I think the biggest thing for me is just prayer. And I know that's kind of the Sunday school answer, but I'm a prayer warrior. I love prayer, and I love, make sure that it's an important part of my day, usually early in the morning, just always bathing your children in prayer, and that they would be surrounded by biblical like-mindedness as we venture into different stages of their life. In the beginning, it's as simple as their grandparents, who were godly people, Cindy's parents, Mim and Bob Fox, the blessing of that. And Cindy's sisters and so on and so forth, and other family members. And then all of a sudden you realize that their classroom teacher is a believer. Well, how does that happen? I hope it's an answer to my prayer. Praying for the godly women that they're married to today. Like I've been praying for you, Hannah Weibel, since JD was 2 years old. I've been praying for you, Stacy and Lisa. Those are the wives of ours. Since you know what I mean. Just bathing them in prayer and just being somewhat of a watchdog. Okay. Who are the people that are in the life of my children, and not being able to pull the plug on something and say, well, I think they should be involved in that group.
But you earned it with your boys too, to be able to say to them, not that kid, not that guy, not that person.
I think to a certain extent, again, by the grace of God, my boys were always respectful of Cindy and myself and the adults in their lives, not just us, teachers and coaches and parents.
They're not competition. They're the people that are supposed to help guide you.
And there was never any of that power play stuff, or and I think the Lord blessed them with thankful hearts. They were thankful for, and I think they could see it to a certain extent too. When I was talking, I said, Ryan, I'm going to pull you from Penridge High School. He's 15 years old. How do you think he feels about his friends at that point in his life? You know
One of the most important things in his life is friends.
Exactly. And he said, Dad, I'm willing to try that. And then the Lord just kind of blessed that.
For sure.
So now he had kind of like this group of teenage friends from Faith Christian Academy, and he had this group of teenage friends from Penridge High School, and they were the Ryan Greisers and the David Hollenbachs. So these are names that people would remember back when Chris was youth pastor. And those guys were in the
youth ministry.
In the youth ministry, and Chris was the the leader of that. You talk about, wow, thank you, Lord. To be surrounded by those and the families that were involved in those kids' lives. Looking
around to the people that are sharing the experiences with you.
Correct.
It's a big deal.
Correct. And being watchful about that. And then there was at one point where we had to make a stand. They were really young and said, we're just not going to do this on Sunday mornings.
And that probably had to be received crazy by people around you, Christians and non-Christians alike, for sure.
Especially the people in the non-believing realm of the athletics that you're involved. But also then there was a respect there. They didn't agree with it, but they, and people would be standoffish. But there was always a respect there as well. I think.
You stand up for something you believe in. Being able to tell them why.
And a witness. And then, like I said before, I kind of lost that. When Ryan all of a sudden I could see, wow.
Well, it's one thing if you're not talented and you leave for a game and everybody's going,
Thank you very much. There's other people on the sideline who want to play.
Less parents yelling, do your thing. But if you're talented, you command a little bit, which push yourself to be the best.
So those were interesting times and valuable. And just not only being a watchdog there, but what's going on in there if they're in public school.
Right.
Being in tune to what's being taught in the classroom,
Yeah.
and curriculums, and what's on the horizon, and things of that nature.
Okay, so you've got a couple of different perspectives here, which just makes you just a gold mine here. You've been inside the institution of being a teacher, you've been a parent, and you've been a coach. Okay, and you're a faithful believer. So all of these things, you've had to have seen cultures, trends, things moving along with sports and stuff. On the sports realm alone, just because we're camping there, we'll move to some other things. You've seen some things change since like when you first started coaching and being a phys ed leader. You know, what are you seeing us going towards? I mean,
kind of from a personal perspective, just the kind of the idea of selfishness.
Okay.
You know, and everybody's trying to get one up for their child.
Okay.
Kind of thing, like
AAU culture.
Yeah, like exactly.
Okay.
Some of these athletic cultures where they're being, and if it's not exactly going according to dad's plan or mom's plan, even though the kid may not be as talented or gifted, it's got to be somebody else's fault.
My kid's going to the NFL. My kid's going to the NBA. We're going to find the team that embraces that. Okay.
And we're blind to that. And so somebody's got to be the scapegoat.
Sure.
Is it the coach?
Sure.
Is it the other players on the team?
The schedule. Oh.
Yeah, and just the intensity of that, that getting more and more out of control.
The team spirits is out.
Yeah, and then I'm going to hop from here to there to everywhere.
Yeah.
Until I find what's perfect for my child.
Yeah.
Because it's everybody else's fault. You know, the attention that some of that gets, like at a larger level.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe what we pay some of our professional athletes
Right.
and our coaches, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And the money that's involved in that whole realm,
Proportion to the attention that they're getting.
Correct.
It's just grown tremendously.
Yeah, and I think it's so way out of bounds and balance. You know, where else could that money be used? And you know, that's why it's refreshing to see a Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Look at the platform that he's been given, and Nick Foles.
Sure.
Look at the platform that they've been given.
Yeah.
And when you see that, I think it's so refreshing, and it's so edifying to us because the culture's so out of bounds.
Yep.
You know, the other way.
And for them to be bold and just not embrace it and I'm going to use this instead of just take it.
So as opposed to, well, we're going to participate in athletics because it's fun and it's good in numerous ways, and it teaches valuable life lessons about being unselfish, about teamwork, you know, about respect for the opponent, about it's almost gone in a different direction. You know, you know, I mean, it's kind of evident, a lot of evidence of that in the political scene as well.
For sure.
We're supposed to be serving people. They spend more time battling each other.
Well, now you spend most of your time in your second career. Most of your time is all serving people. I mean, this isn't a complete. This is anything but athletics now.
Yeah.
And we said that you told me in a little bit of your story, saying that this was how to go from, you know, I want to coach at a college level to being a part of Crossroads, you know, Pregnancy Center. But you felt like God was prepping you for a long time in that. Could you share just a couple of those steps? Because I think some people would look at a life and go, well, it didn't work out.
Right.
And so that part of it's over. Or the people that I met along the way, that was all part of that. But you've got it connected. And you believe God connected you to this point.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's helpful to see God's faithfulness. And to see his leading is not always be looking forward, but I think it's important to look backwards. You know, if you want to see God's faithfulness in your life, so you have the faith and the trust in what he's going to do in the future, look back.
Sure.
You know, so for as far as getting to a pregnancy center, the skill set to actually do the job was really because of my coaching background.
Okay.
You know, the things that I learned professionally as a basketball coach have helped me as an administrator at Crossroads Pregnancy Care.
Okay.
The idea of handling my staff, you know, it's now my new team.
Yeah.
And all the same dynamics come into play. What we tried to do to build team unity and build culture in an environment, whether it's a business, whether it's a church, or it's a ministry, it's the same kind of
Still individuals trying to work towards a common goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except it's a biblical perspective, and it's all biblical minded. You know.
Yep.
So my coaching background, you know, just like even like simple example like recruiting. You know, as a basketball coach at the college level, you have to go out and find your players and recruit them. It's not like high school; they come through the system.
Yeah.
So the art of recruiting is very similar to the art of donor management. Saying, I'm passionate about this, and this is why you ought to be involved in our ministry. This is why you ought to be involved in our basketball team and come to Cairn University. This is why you ought to be involved in Crossroads, can see the passion and the good work that we're doing, so on and so forth. Personally, from a teaching perspective, I spent most of my career teaching issues of human sexuality.
Right.
And, you know, I was at one side of the equation where we were trying to teach children that, you know, that if you take certain behaviors out of the context of where they belong, for example, marriage, you know, there are consequences. Teen pregnancy, STDs, STIs. Now I'm at the other side of that equation. These are people that have done that. Now we're trying to meet their needs.
They weren't listening during wellness class. So now we're gonna deal with it.
And it's just a great work. You know. So I've always just been in this realm of human sexuality issues. You know. And then the other thing is there were family members. And like my brother was a teen father. And my sister was in a pregnancy crisis situation. And Cindy and I, so we watched that, kind of had that, you know, perspective of all that. And then because of that, we later encountered some people that were teenagers that were pregnant, and Cindy and I allowed them to live in our home. And these were things that were going on way before I had any idea what a pregnancy center was. You're
drawing X's and O's with the boys, getting excited about a tournament, and God's going, enjoy it. I'm prepping you right now.
Not knowing any of that. So this is kind of all these life experiences. And still, when I retired from teaching, I had no ambitions of being at a pregnancy center. Or a nonprofit. I had no idea really how these things even work. Now, Cindy was on the board at Crossroads. So the Lord kind of brought her to Crossroads. So I was familiar.
Sure.
You know, and we would chat about the ministry, and you know, we do a lot of walking, so we chat a lot about a lot of different things. And one day we're out walking, and she says, so I said, what's going on at Crossroads? Just chit-chatting. You know, and well, we're looking for a new director. I said, well, what's a director? What's an executive director? It sounds like something pretty intense to me. You know? She says, well, the person ought to be kind of like, this, and this. We're looking for somebody that can do A, B, C, and D. And we're just walking, and she stops me. She grabs me by the shoulder and says, that's you. I said, you're nuts. I did. I swear. I said,
you're crazy.
I said, you're nuts. I said, oh, man. My goal when I retired from teaching, Kyle, was to drive bus. I kid you not. Because I wanted to keep the academic calendar. I was addicted to the academic calendar. It was my lifestyle.
I love it.
And I wanted to coach basketball at Cairn University.
Not hard. Not hard. Not hard.
That's
listening.
And I thought, well, this is a good thing. I'm in sports ministry. I'm in ministry. I'm part of a biblical university, and we're recruiting women to a biblical university, and I'm using the art of persuasion's not the right word, but
I got you.
To get people to understand that a biblical education at the college level is the best form of education. That's why you should come to Cairn University. And by the way, you have to be a great basketball player. Come play for us. You know.
Yeah, you got it down.
So I think that's ministry.
Yeah, you're doing it.
You know, exactly. But then the Lord gradually, in that last year of I was there for 6 years, just kind of closed some doors. Just kind of, you know, and then this whole process of I started to pray. Just seriously pray about what would be like to help Crossroads, and it took like eight months.
Okay, so it wasn't overnight.
Now, by the time and Cindy introduced me to the idea, to the time I actually applied, to the time I had 3 different interviews.
Wow.
And what happened was, honestly, is everybody else they interviewed decided they didn't want the job.
Really?
I was the only man left standing.
And you're all nuts.
So I got the job by the process of elimination.
You know. God was just waiting. He was having the other guys go through so you could be standing.
Every time they offered somebody the job and they declined for whatever reason, they said, well, maybe we should talk to Walt again. So that was the second interview. And then they offered it.
So it was like ping-ponging back and forth. Like, we'll find another guy. Hey, it's Walt. Oh, man.
But meanwhile, it gave me 8 months just to process this whole thing.
That's fantastic.
Or 9 months to process the whole thing. And I remember I got there and I sat down in the office and said, okay, Lord, what do I do now?
Yeah. First day, I'm the top. Now what? Oh, it's wild.
And it just the learning curve was huge.
Sure.
But it's been really fun.
Yeah.
And I really see the meaningfulness of the work.
Oh, for sure.
And just the staff is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I spend my day doing this.
Yeah.
And meeting with pastors
Yeah.
and people that are in ministry, and it's a whole different world to me.
Yeah, you're never done, man. That's the and it's connecting. All those things you did with players and all the things you do with it's all there today.
Yeah, and
that's
the dots were kind of there.
That's
and
great.
I've been asked recently. I've been out of coaching now for 2 years.
Yeah.
Walt, would you come help?
Yeah.
You don't have to. Just come when you want.
Right.
These other things, and the Lord has kind of given me a real peace and a real fulfillment about just focusing on this ministry full time.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of interesting and fun to watch and experience the process.
You tell yourself that the first year of coaching, you're going to be saying no to opportunities at someday. Like, no, I won't. Yeah, right. Now you're going to be focused.
And then people would say to me, Walt, do you miss it? And the answer in the beginning was, yeah, I do.
Right.
And then they would, in a couple 6 months into being at Crossroads, somebody else, are you really missing it? And it was just like, yeah, I think, but it was like less. And then I realized that God had put something more meaningful in that spot in my life where I thought sports ministry was where he wanted me to be. Yeah. Not that sports ministry is not meaningful. It's just there was a season in life where this is what I think I'm leading you to do now.
Yeah, we call it riding the wave. God kind of has a wave in your life, and you ride it, and then another one comes, and you're going, oh, this is where God's taking me right now. Right. Not trying to manufacture anything. I'm just responding to what's obvious, His energy in my life as He's taking me.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
I've kind of looked at it, and this is just my humble way of looking at it. I think there's different levels of that. I think there's definitely people that are called to ministry. They're definitely called to ministry, like pastors, like what you guys are doing. I think it's a serious responsibility to be shepherding the flock of Christ. Yeah. I don't think the Lord's just going to let anybody do that. No. That's a calling on your life, and I think it becomes obvious at some point. Yeah. And then I think there's kind of the next level of that. There's kind of a leading, and I felt like I was led to Crossroads. And I felt like I was called to non-ministry. I was called to be an executive director, like somebody may be called to be a pastor or a missionary. Right. I think and then there's a kind of a leading, and then there's just the simple of God has given us free will to exercise that free will. I'm sitting in a church service, and something the pastor has said tweaks my heart, and I want to serve. So maybe I'm serving in the nursery, or I'm serving as a Sunday school teacher, or all of which is huge in the kingdom of God.
Sure, yeah,
As I explain layers, I'm not talking about significance of ministry. No, I'm just talking about how I think God, leads people or calls people or allows us to exercise free will to be in ministry. Yeah. I think for a while there's some people think that there's like this bullseye, and if you don't find the bullseye, you're outside the will of God for your life. I don't know if that's true. Otherwise, I think we might be spending the rest of our life looking for the bullseye. Right,
and He's involved in the process the whole time.
Exactly,
you're missing it. It's not about finishing it. You're in the process of it right now.
Exactly, and the fact that He's given us free will, and He's given us the gift of wisdom, and to figure that we can help try to figure some of this out.
Yeah, right. You know? Yeah, He engages us in the process all the time.
Exactly,
for sure.
And He's behind the process. Yeah. But exercising free will and the other things that He blesses us with, like giftedness and talent and passion and wisdom and faith, just to trust Him. Yeah. There's a lot of us in that, I think.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside the flesh.
Right.
No,
the righteous live by faith. Yeah. You got to be able to make decisions and step forward. You can't just wait for Him to give you something. He's waiting for you to make decisions in the meantime.
And He's kind of like a moving ship, and the Lord is the sail or the wind, or there's lots of different analogies.
Sure.
I like the one that you just
the waves pushing you forward.
Seasons of life. So, and I would recommend that for people more my age or who are on the verge of retirement, that John Piper's Don't Waste Your Life.
Don't Waste Your Life. Yeah.
He talks a lot about what we ought to be doing as believers in the retirement years.
Yeah, don't just be picking up seashells. There's more to do. There's more to do.
Exactly.
Which is I don't think that half of my family activity works during the week without my parents being close by. I mean, they're within a couple of miles, and Sean and I all the time are going. There's a lot to be said for them in thankfulness. Just out of, half of who my kids are comes from my parents just being around, saying the same things over that I've been saying to them, believing the same things that we believe, and caring for each other. Even how our kids see me and my parents react, and Sean and my parents react to each other and engage has been an important thing. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just think the Lord is faithful. Yeah. When you recognize those kinds of things, and you pray and you pursue. Yeah. This is good for my family, for my children. Yeah. But we had that kind of help, like from Cindy's family. Yeah.
Second to none.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you said Crossroads has changed a little bit. Teen pregnancies aren't what they were at one point. Mm-hmm. You said that's the trend in teenagers is changing. What did you say that was from again?
Well, I think that people say the pregnancy rate is it's
dropping. Actually dropping.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at statistics.
Okay.
And they say teen pregnancy is dropping with that.
Okay.
But I think what we're not recognizing is the availability of some of the contraceptive that these kids can get their hands on, that people can get their hands on from 7. We looked at it. We talked about it from 17. You can go to the drugstore and buy something over the counter that pretty much is like a morning after pill.
Yeah. So it's not that they're not having sexually active.
Correct.
It's just how they're taking care of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that helps us understand that is the fact that the rate of STD and STI is increasing.
Oh, okay.
So they've got to be engaging in certain behaviors
on some level.
Yeah, exactly. At some level for those germs to be transferred.
Man.
Another thing that I really think that, and we're not in this, Crossroads is not, but I really think is going to be huge, and we're seeing it already in the church. Every time I go to a men's purity event, there's always talk of pornography. Yeah. I think this next wave of this next teenage group and these young adults are going to have serious issues with pornography.
Yeah.
I really, really do. And that
digital revolution has changed everything.
Exactly.
I mean, 5 years ago, we were talking about a video like this doesn't just get sent out. You don't just email this. Right. It's slow, it's choppy, the feed's terrible, and that's all gone now.
No, and the availability and the access of that.
Right.
They say that industry is growing in leaps and bounds. Well, I don't think it's just dirty old men. Yeah. I could use that.
Yeah, you can. Term. That's true. Well, and that was the perception before. It was like, oh, freaks do that. And that's not so much the case.
I don't think so. So I keep talking. We're actually talking to ours because we have a community educational program at Crossroads, where we try to get into either we try to help minister at public schools, Christian schools, youth groups. We've kind of talked about that, and I've talked to Mel recently, our director of that. Yeah. So should we not be putting together some kind of curriculum? On pornography,
right?
That we could at least introduce to Christian schools,
right?
They would see
somewhere to start, something.
They would understand that this is way outside the bounds of a believer, and teenagers are engaging this. Again, if we just think it's the kids that go to public school,
you're not. Teens are teens, no matter where they're at.
Yeah, I think we're fooling ourselves, and I know you guys are on the cutting edge of those kinds of things, and I think you just have to be aware. But getting back to trends, I think that's a huge trend. And I think, Kyle, not only is it, it's addictive.
Right.
So where is this going to go when these people are, 28, 38, 40, and how is this going to affect their relationships with their wives and their families? And, it's bigger than, somebody just peeking at their screen.
Right.
There's huge issues here.
Yeah.
So I think that's another a trend. We're not really engaging in that right now. Our main things are really pregnancy care and family care.
Yeah. And you've called crisis different in different areas and different styles. Like, this area as opposed to north or south or east or west, it might be completely different.
Yeah. Depending on the demographics and, what kids have as far as, accessibility. Yeah. Because of wealth or no wealth or, those kinds of things. But I think what our thing at Crossroads, if we speak of that, is we wanna engage into a demographic or build a platform, quite honestly, where we can share the gospel. We want to share the gospel. And pregnancy centers are kind of going in a couple of different directions. There's a real push right now towards the abortion-minded community, and that is huge. That is absolutely, positively huge, and that's kind of their main focus. And that is a big part of our focus. We certainly, obviously, totally embrace the sanctity of life and believe that's God's grand design for man, is to bring these babies into the world. And we're going to do what we can to help women make that decision as we counsel. We give a free pregnancy test. We give them options counseling. We are obviously totally pro-life. But we have felt like that doesn't allow us at times to really just that emphasis to share the gospel.
Right.
If we can get women to come for a free pregnancy test and then stay with us once they've decided they're going to keep the child through counseling and coaching during pregnancy and then eventually the birth process, now we can build relationships with them and share the gospel.
And you found great success in that. I've heard story after story of ladies who come up at the couple of the events I've been at where they said, I thought I was just coming in to get checked, and then I found these great people behind the doors that cared about me and wanted to help me.
Yeah, and it's about initially just being the heart and the hands and the feet of Christ. Because I don't think they want to hear much about the gospel or about Christ before we can demonstrate the person that he really is through us, through the presence of the Holy Spirit and our actions. So we have found that pregnancy care and family care is the place where we can share the gospel, as opposed to the revolving door of the abortion-minded woman. She comes into Crossroads Pregnancy Care and says, "Well, I thought I could get an abortion here." Well, no, we don't. Well, then
it's not us.
I don't need pregnancy care because I want to go get an abortion.
Because I don't want to have a pregnancy.
Exactly. So they're in and out the door.
Man.
We're having more success with what we refer to as the abortion vulnerable.
Okay.
Now that's a young lady that comes to us. She thinks she's pregnant, or she might think she's pregnant, and she wants to verify that. She wants a free pregnancy test, and she's scared and she's confused, and she doesn't know what she wants to do.
The true terms of crisis in this moment, man.
And she is vulnerable to abortion because that's an option. And if she goes to the wrong place,
she's gonna find that.
Exactly. And somebody can convince her of that, like we're trying to convince her that life is the best option here.
Sure.
Those are the women that we're having more success with.
Okay.
Sharing our faith and sharing the gospel.
And
then there's a layer of women that come to us that they're pregnant and they know they're pregnant and they want the baby. There's no question. But I already have 2 young ones at home, or I just lost my job, or the father wants nothing to do with my child or me, and I need support.
You are the only support they're going to find.
Correct. Well, we're seeing more hardcore additions like addiction or abuse or homelessness or poverty or food, and we don't claim to be all to all at that point. We have to understand what our boundaries are.
Right.
But what we are then is very connected to referrals to the Christian community.
That's great.
Okay. You need addiction counseling. Well, we have this Christian addiction counseling center. We highly recommend.
Right.
If you don't want to bring the baby in the world and you want to put your baby up for adoption, well, we're connected to this adoption agency that's really going to help you. So that's an important piece of the ministry as well.
For sure.
Understanding who you can help, who you can't help, and referring them to those that really can help.
No, having those boundaries overall is great. If we can't be to everybody, so we're going to help find that for you is great.
I think, and as we think about possibly expanding our ministry, we want to do more in the realm of the abortion-minded demographic community. But we have found that our giftedness, because we have 2 women, 3 women or so that are just really gifted in evangelism, and they share the gospel very, very, very well. And the way that churches are supporting us and giving us all the material things that we need for our women, the diapers, the formula, the baby food, strollers, car seats, pack and plays, carry, everything that they need. We're receiving an abundance of that from the church community and people that want to support our ministry. We just think we want to make all this accessible to our ladies. And then again, that's giving us a caring, a trusting influence into their lives. Now we can begin speaking Christ into their lives. Our goal is to keep our clients coming for up to 3 years.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Okay. You've got a time scale for them. That's
we
great.
would like them to stay. And then in the meantime, what happens sometimes is a second one may be born. So now they're with us for 6 years.
Oh, man.
We embrace that.
Yeah, for sure.
We try not to enable. At the same time, we want women to get on their own because that's the best thing.
Right. Independence.
But to us, the sanctity of life is huge, but also the sanctity of marriage. So we're going to counsel and coach to that end, and the sanctity of family. And then in the center of that family is the gospel of Christ. Now,
you're cooking.
Exactly. that kind of the goal. Does that happen all the time? Well, obviously not.
For sure.
Obviously not. Now we have kind of changed that cycle of behaviors that got them to the situation to begin with.
Right.
One of the biggest hardest things for us, Kyle, is just get the fathers to step up.
That's not happening as often as that's part of the reason they're in there.
Exactly. And that I feel bad about that because I'm of the same species, gender. Like, what's going on here?
What are you doing, guys?
Yeah. Exactly. But that's kind of our heart. And what we try to do for our clients.